So he is not happy to go to school. He feels all his joy is driven away when he goes to school. The bird is born to be free, to fly up to the sky and also sing melodiously. But if it is caged and we ask the bird to sing, can it sing? No. Hello everyone. This is Shobita S. Aradhya, Vidyashram Pre-University College, Mysuru. And today in this session, we will discuss about the poem The School Boy by William Blake. So, you have just finished your schooling and now you are into college. So, we shall share the experiences of your school days and we also will see how this boy experienced his school. What was his likes and dislikes? What was his interest and the things which were uninterested to the boy. Before going to the poem, we'll first see about the poet. William Blake, a poet and painter, was born in Soho, the son of a hosier. He had little formal education but was apprenticed to James Bazire, who sent William to Royal Academy to improve his skills. His finest work as an artist is the series Inventions of Book of Job. His collections of poetry include poetical sketches, songs of innocence, marriage of heaven and hell, and songs of experience is the collection from where our today's poem, The Schoolboy, is picked. So in this, we'll see the experiences of the schoolboy, his likes and dislikes. The poem starts with a notion where he tells that he likes the nature. Definitely, nature is the best teacher in the world. So we tell parents are the first teachers, home is the first school. In the same way, nature teaches us lot of things. If a child is allowed to be in the nature and later when he grows up, his knowledge and his understanding of the situation will be far better than the child in whose childhood he was not allowed to be in the nature. This is proved many times with many people. The poem, with the first stanza, it starts, I love to rise in a summer morn when the birds sing on every tree. The distant huntsman winds his horn and the skylark sing with me. Oh, what sweet company. So here the boy, he loved to rise in a summer morn when the birds sing on every tree. So this boy is very active, very curious to know the things. So he loves to rise early in the summer morn. Summer mornings will be cool. So in summer, it will be nice to enjoy the morning because mornings will be very cool and we can see birds flying, sitting on the tree every day. When the birds sing on every tree, the birds also will be very pleasantly singing on the tree. So this boy, this school boy, whom William Blake mentions in this poem, he loves to rise early in the summer morn and he also loves the birds, they sing on the tree. The distant huntsman winds his horn. Huntsman who has gone for hunting, before he starts his hunting, he blows his horn. So that is mentioned here. The distant huntsman winds his horn. This boy even enjoys the sound of the horn of the huntsman. And the skylark sing with me. Skylark is a beautiful bird which looks very similar to the small birds, brown in color. But the sound of the skylark is very melodious, very low in the sound, but it is very melodious. So the boy here loves to hear the song of skylark, how it sings. And it sings even while flying. So this boy enjoys the singing of the skylark. So for him, all these, rising early in the summer morn and singing of birds on every tree, also the huntsman's blowing of horn and skylark singing. He enjoys all those. See the expression here. Oh, what sweet company. So it makes the company of all these makes him very sweet and happy. So again, this boy enjoys nature. In the second stanza, the theme changes here. From the second stanza, we can see sorrowness of the boy. In the first stanza, we saw the likes of the boy, where he is very happy to do all those things in nature. And now it is his turn to go to school. So how he feels when he is going to school. But to go to school on a summer morn, oh, it drives all joy away. Under a cruel eye outone, the little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. Ah, then at times I drooping sit. I told you from the second stanza, we can see the sorrowness of the child. The schoolboy, he loves to rise in early morning in the summer to go to nature. But when it is to go to the school, he feels that all his joy are driven away. So he is not happy to go to school. He feels all his joy is driven away when he goes to school. Why he feels so? To understand that, we need to read the next lines and the next stanzas. Under a cruel eye outworn. Who is the cruel eye here? It is the teacher's supervision. So for the child, teacher's supervision looks like a cruel eye on him, because he loves to enjoy in the nature. Enjoying in the nature means being free, without controlled by anybody, without the supervision of any other person on him. But here, under a cruel eye outworn. So he is trying to tell that teacher's eye on him seems to be cruel to him. The little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. Little ones, the children. As you have finished your schools, you are little ones when you are in school. The little ones spend the day. See, spending, sometimes it also indicates that it is wasting. So here the child is telling his time, whatever he spends in school, is like waste of his time, waste of his day. The little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. Sighing is a breath out with sadness. Okay. So when we are sad and tired, we breathe out. That breathing out is sighing, and dismay is being sad, being in sorrow. Then at times I drooping sit. What is drooping sit? Drooping means, see in this picture, putting the shoulder down. When we are happy and confident, we lift our shoulder, we lift our chin. But when we are sad and sorrow, we just drop our shoulders. We can't lift it with confidence. So that is called drooping sit. At times that I drooping sit. So when he is in school, he droops his shoulder and sit in dismay. The third stanza, it tells, and spend many and anxious hours, nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning's bower, worn through with a dreary shower. And spend many an anxious hour. Anxious means here, we can take it as the time of concern. So where we are concerned about the time. He spends many of anxious hour. If the same time is spent in the nature, the boy feels he could enjoy a lot, he could make many memorable moments in the nature, and also that would help him in the future. But the same hours if he spends in the school, he feels it is not of any use to him. Nor in my book can I take delight. books are not at all the interesting ones for the boy. He doesn't like the pictures, artificial pictures in the book, and also the letters, the words, the characters in the prose or poetry is not the thing of interest to the boy. For him, nature is the thing of delight. So he says, nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning's bower. Learning's bower. Bower means a covered area. It can be a school or a bush shade under which teacher teaches a student. Here, this boy considers that nor sit in the learning's bower. Here it is a covered room. We call it a classroom. So he is not interested in sitting in the classroom, but he wants to be out in the nature. Won through with the dreary shower. Dreary shower here means the boring lecture by the teacher. It also can be the heavy rains, which is not like, see, rain, if it is in a proper amount, even the farmer enjoys, people enjoy, the earth also can hold the water. If it is heavy, the floods occur. In the same way, for this boy, whatever the teacher is teaching, that is like dreary shower, heavy rainfall which he cannot hold. The lecture, the teachings, he cannot hold in his memory, in his mind. So, won through with the dreary shower. Next stanza, in this, the boy compares himself to the bird in the cage. How can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? How can a child, when fears annoy, but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? Yes, how can a bird caged sing? The bird is born to be free, to fly up to the sky and also sing melodiously. But if it is caged and we ask the bird to sing, can it sing? No. That can make the noise, but it cannot be singing. So the boy, here William Blake, he asks, as if he is a boy, he asks us, how can the bird that is born for joy sit in the cage and sing? It is not possible. How can a child, when fears annoy, but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? In the same way, the boy who is annoyed by fear of the teacher, how can he enjoy, how can he spread his wing, tender wing, and fly? Spread his tender wing here, it tells that how can he learn new things, how can he show his creativity. So, when fears annoy, the child cannot expose himself or he cannot express what he is feeling. But droop his tender wing. Again, droop his tender wing. Wings should be strong with full strength to fly high. So the birds are trained by parent birds to fly the little height. Then the bird tries to fly high. When the wings are tender, they are not forced to fly high. If they do so, they will be tired and they may fall. In the same way, when the child can learn only little, if the teacher is pouring so many information and knowledge to the child's brain, how can he understand? So, and forget his youthful spring. Spring is the season after winter, preceding summer. So, in winter we see that the trees, the plants shed their leaves, and in spring season we see the sprouts, new leaf in the tree. So, that is the season of spring. Here, how can child enjoy his youthful spring? Definitely, he will forget his youthful spring. That is where he is learning, and his learning has to be implemented in his life. So, if it is so boring, uninterested to the child, he cannot use it, apply it in his life. The next stanza is about the child is telling the parents about his feelings. Here, for a child, parents are the highest authority. You might have seen if two kids are fighting, the kids they go and complain to each other's parents, because parents are the highest authority to the child. So there he can admit his mistakes, or he can complain to his parents whenever he has a problem. The stanza goes like this: O father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the springing day, by sorrow and care's dismay. So, O father and mother, if buds are nipped, if the buds, the growing flower buds are nipped, means plucked out of the plant, will they grow? Can they blossom? No, it is not possible at all. So, and blossoms blown away, when the flower is to blossom, if they are plucked or if the petals are picked and thrown, can they blossom? Can they grow? No. And if the tender plants are stripped, see, if the tender plants are harmed in any ways, can they grow good? Can they have buds? Can they blossom buds? Or can they bear fruits? No. So, and if the tender plants are stripped, here stripped means to pluck the leaves or to harm the plant, or can be outroot the plant. Of their joy in the springing day. So when they are having their new leaves, if the plants are stripped, if the buds are nipped, they are of no use. It is like death to the plant. Similarly, if a child in his childhood, he is not allowed to see the world around him and express his feelings, he may be a live person but with death. By sorrow and care's dismay. So he is not happy if all these happens in his life. If in his childhood he is not allowed to enjoy his childhood. The children must play and learn. So it is play and learn concept. If child is made only to learn, he can't learn the whole what is taught to him. It can be by the parents or by the teacher. So we learn, if we recollect our memories, we have learned from everyone around us, from the teachers, parents, friends, neighbors, from the nature. Learned a lot from the nature. So here he says, so the last stanza, how shall the summer arise in joy, or the summer's fruits appear, or how shall we gather what griefs destroy, or bless the mellowing year when the blasts of winter appear. So how shall the summer arise in joy, or the summer's fruits appear? If in spring season buds are nipped and the plants are stripped, can you expect that by summer the plant will grow the fruits? No. Flowers only turn into fruits. So if we have plucked the flowers, how can we expect fruit from the plant? In the same way, if the boy's feelings are hurt or harmed during his childhood, can we expect a responsible adult? No. Or how shall we gather what griefs destroy? Grief, the sorrowness, losing of something. If he has lost something and the grief has destroyed his childhood, can he enjoy his adulthood? Which is not possible. Or bless the mellowing year. Mellowing year means fruitful year here. So a farmer, he seeds and wait for the yielding. If he has done all the process correctly at time, he can expect a very good yield. Otherwise, he cannot. That is what the poet trying to say here. When the blasts of winter appear. So again, when during the winter, if and the spring, if the plants are destroyed, we cannot expect fruits in summer. In the same way, in childhood, if a child is disturbed or harmed by his feelings, we cannot expect a good adulthood by that child. So this poem tells us about the conditions and experiences of a child in his childhood. So whoever has enjoyed his childhood thoroughly he will learn more and his adulthood would be more productive. So, this is the message by the poet to the parents, to the teachers, and to the children to have a very good childhood where the child learns many things from his surroundings. So, this was all about The Schoolboy by William Blake, and in the next session, we will discuss the other prose, Oru Manushyan. Till then, take care, bye, and thank you.